We often call ourselves Buddhists, but sometimes we believe without understanding. We follow the path as a habit, a custom. But Buddhism's essence does not lie in blind faith. It lies in wisdom, in thoroughly examining the root causes of suffering and happiness. Ladies and gentlemen, look at yourself and all living beings, from the tiny ant to the present human being. All share a common instinct, the desire for happiness and the fear of suffering. But humans differ from animals in that we have a brain, we have intelligence, we know how to ask, why do we suffer? And how can we achieve lasting happiness? Today's world, material things have developed to the utmost, but education is leaning entirely towards the external. We teach children about mathematics, the universe, technology, but we lack lessons on spiritual hygiene. We know how to wash our hands to remove bacteria, but we forget to cleanse our minds of the dirt of anger, greed, and jealousy. People mistakenly think that happiness is satisfying the senses. The eyes see beauty, the ears hear beautiful music, the body feels pleasant touch. Yes, that is joy, but it is joy borrowed from the outside. If the heart is full of anxiety and fear, even sitting on a pile of gold, listening to heavenly music, would we feel happy? True happiness lies deeper in the mind, where the senses cannot reach. There is a very beautiful truth about human beings. Scientists have conducted experiments and found that even a child who cannot yet speak, when seeing scenes of helping each other, smiles. When seeing scenes of pushing and arguing, the child frowns in discomfort. This shows that the seed of compassion is already within us from the moment we are born. We grow up nourished by our mother's milk and love. So love is not something we have to learn to have. It is our nature. However, as we grow up, calculation and ego make us forget that kind nature. Many people go to temples, churches, and pray sincerely with folded hands. But once they step outside, they are ready to deceive and compete. Religion then becomes just an outer shell. It no longer holds the original purity that brings meaning to life to be kinder or better. We use religion, temples in the name of business, and sometimes end up hurting each other. Therefore, we need a more practical path. You don't necessarily have to believe in God or Buddha. You just need to believe in cause and effect, believe in the value of kindness. True morality is when we know that. Hurting others is sowing seeds of suffering for ourselves. Helping others is building a strong inner home for ourselves. I also want to add about the path to wisdom in Buddhism. Dependent origination is the essence of Buddhism. Everything from a flower, a blade of grass, to the self that we cling to, nothing arises naturally on its own. Nothing exists independently. That flower blooms thanks to the soil, the water, the sunlight. If you separate those elements, the flower is no longer a flower. Similarly, the I that we strive to protect, where does it lie? Is it this body, or is it emotions, or is it thoughts? It is only a temporary combination, like a river flowing continuously. When we understand this, we call it emptiness. It does not mean nothingness, but that there is no independent self. Understanding emptiness, we will cling less. Clinging less to the I means less suffering. Clinging less to mine means a lighter heart. When the ego shrinks, compassion has room to arise. Many people truly wonder about spiritual practice. Living in a bustling world, busy making a living, can we reach nirvana? Or must we hide away in deep forests and remote mountains? Dear friends, nirvana is not a distant place. When the mind is no longer bound by ignorance, greed, and hatred, that is nirvana. Liberation is not somewhere far away. It comes from the transformation of perception. Our consciousness can be clouded by negative emotions, but it can also be illuminated by wisdom and compassion. It's like learning to fly an airplane with hundreds of complex buttons. At first, everything seems confusing and impossible, but over time, through patience, practice, and familiarity, every operation becomes natural and proficient. Taming the mind is the same. No miracle happens overnight. Only persistence, step by step, self-observation, and daily self-adjustment. In life, we often confuse pleasure with happiness. Pleasure comes from the senses, a good movie, a noisy party. But when the movie ends, the party is over. We feel empty and tired again. True happiness does not rely on external conditions. It comes from an inner calm, from understanding the impermanence of things. That joy, even when closing your eyes, even as the body ages, still shines brightly and no one can take it away. Some people wonder why the more we love, the more we suffer. That is because we have allowed love to be accompanied by attachment. Love with attachment or clinging always comes with expectations, possession, and fear of loss. Just a little disagreement is enough to cause anger and suspicion. But true love, which is compassion, is different. It is tolerant, respectful, and unassuming. When someone we love leaves, we feel sad. That is the natural human response. But instead of sinking into sorrow and torment, we transform the longing into strength, continuing to live a brilliant life while carrying the good wishes of the departed. That is the deepest and wisest way to love. Some people wonder how to be reborn in the Western Pure Land. Praying for rebirth is a good thing, but remember, the Pure Land is not for those who only know how to pray without effort. To go to the Pure Land, one must plant the seeds of purity. One must accumulate merit and wisdom in this very life. Some also think that practicing or meditating means sitting with closed eyes, not thinking at all, like a machine that has stopped working. No, that is not the case. If you just sit quietly with an empty mind, afflictions remain there, waiting for an opportunity to arise. Therefore, we only practice sitting quietly in the initial stage because our minds are too coarse and accustomed to chasing external conditions. Meditation, at a higher level, is using wisdom to illuminate. It is looking deeply into the nature of anger and worry. When we shine the light of understanding, we will see that negative emotions have no solid root. They arise from attachment and ignorance. When we understand this, anger naturally dissolves. Only love and wisdom, because they follow the truth, will increasingly expand and endure over time. The nature of the mind is originally pure, like a clear sky. Afflictions, joys, and sorrows are just like passing clouds. Whether in the midst of the worldly market or in a meditation hall, as long as one knows how to turn inward and use wisdom to cleanse those clouds of fog, the Buddha nature will naturally manifest. But to achieve that, we need to learn how to contemplate. Do not hastily believe anything if we have not reflected and realized it ourselves. Practicing contemplation is not about closing the eyes and forcing the mind into a soulless void. It is about expanding the mind, looking directly at anger, seeing through sadness. When we understand their roots, they naturally dissolve. Like when a light is turned on, the darkness naturally recedes. And there are also matters about dreams. Why do we keep precepts during the day, yet at night we dream of greed, anger, and ignorance? That is because the seeds, the habits in our consciousness, are still very deep. During the day, we consciously restrain ourselves, like pressing down the grass. But in sleep, when consciousness loosens, the weeds grow back. Practicing is practicing even in sleep. When the daytime mind is steady and mindfulness is deep, the nighttime dreams will gradually become pure. In the end, no matter how many scriptures we study or how many arguments we make, the destination is still to return to self-correction. Reduce anger a little, add a little compassion, see others as seeing yourself. Do not let distinctions based on this ego become barriers. Be a kind person before being a Buddhist. If each person knows how to light a lamp of understanding and love, then the darkness of suffering will naturally retreat. This path does not require going far. It begins right from this breath, from the gaze toward the person beside you. Less anger, more compassion. That is cultivation. That is living. May peace always be present in the mind of each person.